The scripture reading before the sermon this morning will be coming from James chapter 1, starting in verse 22. But prove yourselves doers of the word, and not merely hearers, who delude themselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. But one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides by it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer, this man will be blessed in what he does.
Good morning. Great to see you all here this morning. Very thankful for an opportunity to be able to be here this morning, be back in Arizona and out of the cold. I hate the cold, but I'm so glad to be here. And me and my family, we're so glad to be here. And we're just very thankful for all of you and all of your support and your prayers and your love and your letters. Just uplifts us there, and we just love you guys so much. We thank Charlie for opening up his home to the young adults last night, even though the majority of them were cheaters and didn't let me win. But it's okay. I'll forgive them. And they know who they are. They're sitting in the back over there. That's why they're sitting in the back. So I'm just joking. I'd invite you to open your Bibles to 2 Kings chapter 5, and that's where we're going to primarily be this morning is 2 Kings chapter 5. But I want to open up with a question. The question is was there ever a time you were given a command by God or an order from a boss that just seemed too difficult? Why is that? Was the command or order too difficult because it was too difficult to understand, or was it just too simple to be true? I have a man I'm interning with when I go back to Colorado, and he gave me a series that we're going to do when we go back to Colorado, and it's called 7 Quirky Friends. And the man he assigned me to was Naaman. I said, great. I'm just joking. So I took Naaman, and the title of this lesson, as you can see, is Take a Step Further. And we need to understand, we need to understand that it takes more than just belief. We have to be able to take a step further in our belief. There are 3 things that Naaman does, and Naaman sought the answer. Naaman finds the answer, and of course, Naaman was able to obey the answer. And we're going to go through that here in just a moment. But the bottom line here that we need to understand is that our faith cannot be at a standstill. We have to be able to take steps and move forward and take a step further. So the first thing Naaman does is he sought the answer. Now, I just realized that this is not the same slide that I sent, and so there are blanks that you're going to have to listen to that are not up there, so I apologize. So the first thing on there is who is Naaman. So let's read verse 1 here of 2 Kings chapter 5, and it's Naaman, commander of the army for the king of Aram, was a man important to his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man was a valiant warrior, but he had a skin disease. So Naaman was this captain of the army. He was highly respected. He was a valiant warrior, but he suffered from leprosy. And that kind of is interesting to look at. To look at Naaman, this highly respected man, this captain of the army, and here he is suffering from leprosy. And we know from Jewish customs that people that were suffering from leprosy, usually people didn't want to be around those people. As a matter of fact, they were outcasted. And it really shows the difference between the Jews and the Gentiles, doesn't it, in that aspect? Naaman was treated like a regular person, even though he was suffering from leprosy. So we continue here in verses 2. It says, Aram had gone on raids and brought back from the land of Israel a young girl who served Naaman's wife. And she said to her mistress, "If only my master were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his skin disease." So Naaman went and told his master what the girl from the land of Israel had said. Therefore, the king of Aram said, "Go, and I will send a letter with you to the king of Israel." So he went and took with him 750 pounds of silver, 150 pounds of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, and it read, "When this letter comes to you, note that I have sent you my servant Naaman for you to cure him of his skin disease." Now, if you don't know much about Aram, it's in between, or it's really in Mesopotamia and Syria here, so it's a fairly large kingdom, and Naaman is the captain of that army. And during that time, scholars believe that the king during that time was Ben-Hadad, king of Aram. And so Naaman the Aramean troops go and they capture this little girl from Israel. They bring her back, and the girl is having a conversation with Naaman's wife, and she says, "I wish that my master, Naaman, will go and see the prophet of Samaria, Elisha, so that he will be cured of his disease." And so Naaman hears this answer, and he goes to Ben-Hadad, and he said, "This is what the servant girl that we took from Israel, this is what she said to me." And what does the king do? He writes him a letter. He says, "Go, and I will write you a letter." Oh, that's powerful, right? This man that is highly respected, captain of the army, a valiant warrior, but he's suffering from this skin disease, and he's being treated like a normal person. I want you to imagine this for a second. Someone coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I know a guy that could cure you of cancer, that could cure you of pneumonia or any disease that you have. All you have to do is go see him." Now, normally nowadays, if someone was like, "Hey, yeah, I know a guy," you're like, okay. I have to do my research a little bit. I have to make sure he's legit. I have to make sure he has a successful rating. I have to make sure he doesn't have any bad reviews or any unsuccessful things happen. I would have to do my research first. Now, I want you to put yourself in Naaman's shoes. Man, this guy is a highly respected man, but you have to wonder how long he's been suffering from this skin disease. If it was a short period of time or if it was a long period of time. But if you don't know what leprosy is, it's a mycobacterial infection that is irretraceable and incurable, otherwise known as a skin disease. So you would see why people, when they saw someone with this disease, no, go over there. I don't know what you have. I don't know if it could be spread. Go that way. But here he is in the midst of all these people suffering from this disease. And you have to think and you have to wonder how much he wanted to get rid of that disease. And when he finds the answer, when he hears of the answer, he goes to the king. "Here's the answer. Let me go. Go, and I will write you this letter so that he can cure you of this disease." So Naaman finds the answer. We see in verse 7 of 2 Kings. Verse 7 of 2 Kings, chapter 5. Says, "When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and asked, 'Am I God, killing and giving life, that this man expects me to cure a man of his skin disease? Recognize that he is only picking a fight with me.' And when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king, 'Why have you torn your clothes? Have him come to me, and he will know there is a prophet in Israel.' So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stood at the door of Elisha. And Elisha sent messengers who said, 'Go wash 7 times in the Jordan, and your skin will be restored, and you will be clean.' But Naaman got angry. And he left, saying, 'I was telling myself, he will surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and cure the skin disease. Aren't Abna and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than them all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be clean?' So he turned and he left in rage." So Naaman sought this answer, and he goes and he finds this answer, and this letter is given to the king of Israel, and the king of Israel's reaction, in my opinion, was kind of dramatic a little bit, and he tore his clothes, and he said, "Am I God that I should cure you of your disease?" And Elisha sends a messenger and says, "Why did you tear your clothes? Send him to me." So he goes sees Elisha, and Elisha sent a messenger and said, "All you got to do is dip in the Jordan 7 times and you'll be cured." Well, Naaman was angry at that. He didn't like that answer. He thought, well, since you are a prophet of this God of Israel, I thought you would just come out and say, "God, cure this man of this disease," and wave his hands and I would just be cured. It doesn't work like that. God does not work our faith. We have to put in the effort. God has already put 100% effort for us. Do we give him that same effort? Do we give him that same 100% every time? Now I want you to imagine for a second that someone comes up to you and they said, "You can be cured of your cancer. You can be cured of your skin disease. You can be cured of a broken leg. You can be cured of everything if you go and bathe yourself in the most polluted waters in the USA. You can either go to the Mississippi River or the Ohio River." Would you jump at that? Or would you say, no, there are better rivers out there? What about Lake Tahoe? What about Lake George? Why do I have to go to the Mississippi River or the Ohio River? And they're going to say, "Because I said so." Naaman had a problem. He found the answer, and he became furious. He became angry. Now I want you to look at your life and maybe the prayers that you offer to God. Did you always like the answer that was given to you? Did you always pray to God and say, "God, help me with this situation, help me with this"? And he says, "Here's the answer," and you said, "No, I don't like that answer." I remember, and some of you may not know this, but I got offered to go to 3 different preaching schools. I got offered to go to Memphis School of Preaching. I said no. I got offered to go to Sunset. I said no. I got offered to go to Bear Valley 3 times, and 3 times I said no. And I was going through this time of prayer, and I said, "God, I don't like these secular jobs. They're not fulfilling me. I need something that I have a purpose in." And he said, "I see your purpose, and here's the solution." And I said, "No." And then God sent me my wife, and then God sent me Cub, wherever he is, and then and then God sent me Colton and Katie. And I still said, "I'll think about it." I had to be pushed. I had to find the answer, and when I found the answer, I had to be able to accept it. Naaman sought the answer. He heard the answer. He went and found the answer, and then he said, "No way. I'm not dipping myself in that dirty Jordan. There has to be another way." Well, if God tells you this is the way to do it, that is the way to do it. So, Naaman then is able to obey the answer. We'll see here in 2 Kings chapter 5 and verses 13. 2 Kings chapter 5 and verse 13. "But his servants approached and said to him, 'My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more should you do it when he only tells you, wash and be clean?' So Naaman went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times according to the command of God, and then his skin was restored and became like the skin of a small boy, and he was clean." Now, how many of us have friends like this? How many of us have friends in our lives that challenge us like this, that push us like this? Family members that challenge us like this, that push us like this. Naaman was so furious and he was so angry, and he said, There's no way that God just wants me to dip in this Jordan 7 times and I'd be cured. And the servant said, is that all God wanted you to do? Just to dip in the Jordan 7 times and wash and be clean? That seems simple. Why won't you do it? Well, has there ever been a command or order given to you that seemed too simple to be true? And so he listens to the voices and he goes back and he obeys what Elijah had told him. But we have to realize about our own friends and our family members that are in our lives right now. Who are we surrounding ourselves with? There's a song lyric that says, surround yourself with people that challenge the way you think, not people that nod their head and act like they agree. I could tell you right now, there are people in this world that could care less about you. Care less about who you are, care less that you're a Christian. They could care less about you, but they're not going to tell you that to your face. They're going to pretend. They're going to be fake. Why do you want those people around you? Why do you want those people who are in their minds and in their hearts tearing you down, who really don't care about you? There's one friend that cared about us, and he laid down his own life for us. Would the friends in your life right now lay down their lives for you? Would they be there for you to encourage you? Would they be there for you to lift you up and to tell you when you're being foolish? For me, that's my wife. She tells me when I'm being foolish, and that's like 99% of the time. Hey, don't do that. That's stupid, you know? Just joking. Not a lot of people, and those people not to be had in our lives. If we don't have people to challenge us, to criticize us, to encourage us, to comfort us, how are we ever going to grow? Or have that push to change? If Naaman did not have these servants to confront him when he was being foolish, all you have to do is go dip in the water 7 times. That's all you have to do. And maybe in his mind it clicked. Oh yeah, that's really simple. Yeah, let me go do that. And what happened after he dipped 7 times in that water? He was cleaned. He was cured. As the verse says, it was skinned like a little boy. Naaman hears the rebuke. He goes back and obeys the instruction given to him by Elisha. Naaman took a step further than belief. He took action. He obeyed. It takes more than just belief. We need to take a step further in our faith. Like I said, I'm not sure what's on your paper, so I'm going to try to fill in as much as I can. There are 3 things that Naaman did this morning that we observed. Naaman sought the answer. Do we seek God? Do we seek truth? When we have a question that we want to be answered, do we go to this book? Do we say, God, let me read your word and let me figure out what this answer is? Or do we go to the answer from the world? Do we go on our phones? Do we scroll through videos and type in the answer in Google or type the answer in YouTube or TikTok or whatever it may be, and we say, I have a question, here's the question, let's see what YouTube has, let's see what TikTok has. And they'll give you an answer, but it most likely is not scriptural. It's worldly. It's a worldly answer. But we obey it. We say, this is right. This is what they're saying. They're speaking truth, right? Are we seeking God? Are we seeking truth? Is this a part of your life? Or does this sit on the nightstand and collect dust? And now that we've advanced in technology, now we have the Bible app on our phone. So do we have that ability to go wherever we are and to open the Bible app up and to read the Bible? Do we do that? Do we open it up daily? Do we seek God daily? And I think I said this in the bulletin this morning. Or is it an app that stays on your phone so that you can tell people that you are a Christian? Are you seeking God, or are you seeking truth? The second thing Naaman does is he finds the answer. Is the answer enough to make you take a step further? Is the answer enough to say, okay, God, I trust you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a step further? Or is the answer enough to make you say, I don't know about that answer, God. Let me do my research first, and I'll get back to you. Let me make sure that what you're saying is true. Are we supposed to tell God when he's doing wrong? Are we supposed to tell God when he made a mistake? That's not the right answer, God. That's not the one I was looking for. I remember when I was younger, we were living in Germany at the time, and my mom was driving down. We were in this minivan. I remember there was a movie going on. It was Daddy Daycare, and I was watching it, had my headphones on. I was fully in this movie. And the streets on Germany, they're very narrow. And so my mom, she's driving down the road, and another car is coming, and we all smack, and we spin, and we land in a ditch. And my brother's crying, and my sister's crying. But my focus is still on the movie. And my mom, she's looking back, making sure all the kids are fine. I still have my headphones on. They're both crying. My mom's looking at me like, are you okay? I can't hear her. So I take off the headphones. I'm like, what? And she says, are you okay? And I said, what are you talking about? And I look around and I see my brother and my sister crying, and then therefore I started crying. And I remember praying after that night happened and saying, God, fix that van because I lost my DVD in that van and I need it back. And I prayed and I prayed and I said, God, please, please, please. The next day we get a phone call, and it's from the collision center, and they called my mom and they said, the car is not repairable. Great. Now I got to go buy the stupid movie. Yeah. But the next day, not the next day, the next few weeks, we got a new car that was better. It was better than the old one. And that was God saying, here, I provided for you with something better. And that answer, when it comes to you in prayer, when it comes to you, and God says, here's the answer, this is better than what you were asking for, are you going to say, great, let me take advantage of it? Or are you going to say, I don't know, let me do my research? Is the answer enough to make you take a step further? And the last thing Naaman did is Naaman obeyed the answer. Are you obeying God right now? Are you taking the time to get to know God? Are you taking the time to get to know His Word and to study and to understand? Or are you saying, yeah, I know God, I know who He is, He's great. You know, He's done some stuff for me. It's great. But is it enough to take a step further and say, I believe, I obey, and I'm going to take a step further in my faith? Our faith cannot be at a standstill. We have to be able to take a step further. So this morning, if you're not a Christian, and maybe you need to take a step further in your faith, maybe you need to look around and see the possibility of a family that you could have. The possibility of hearing the answer, finding the answer, and obeying that answer this morning. And that first step is being baptized, and that water is ready for you. But if you are a Christian, and maybe your faith has been at a standstill, maybe you haven't grown, maybe you haven't took the time to read, maybe you haven't took the time to understand, maybe you've gotten angry at an answer that God has given you, and you've got anger and you walked away, and you still can't get over that anger, and you still can't get over that answer. Well, we're here as brothers and sisters in Christ to encourage you, to help you, to uplift you. But we can't do that if we don't know what we can help with. So if there is a need, please make it known as we stand and sing.